Global Monetary Watch, August 3rd. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us as we examine another important development surrounding the Iraqi dinar. Today's discussion focuses on a question that frequently appears across the currency community and continues to generate significant interest. Rather than relying on rumors or dramatic online claims, we're going to look at the mathematics behind exchange rates and explain why understanding the official value of the Iraqi dinar is essential when evaluating common discussions about reaching financial milestones. By the end of this analysis, you will have a clearer understanding of how the current exchange rate influences these calculations and why Iraq's ongoing monetary reforms remain an important topic to monitor. One of the most common questions asked by Iraqi dinar holders is surprisingly straightforward. How much Iraqi dinar would someone theoretically need for its value to equal $1 million? While the question sounds simple, the answer depends entirely on one key factor: the exchange rate established by Iraq's monetary authorities. Exchange rates determine how one currency converts into another, meaning that even small adjustments can significantly change the number of dinars required to reach a particular dollar value. Before anyone discusses possibilities or future developments, understanding the current official exchange rate is the logical place to begin. According to the latest official information referenced in today's report, the Central Bank of Iraq continues to maintain an exchange rate in the approximate range of 1,310 to 1,320 Iraqi dinars for every $1. Rather than representing a sudden transformation, the adjustment formed part of a broader economic strategy designed to support long-term financial management. Understanding this official rate makes it possible to calculate the relationship between Iraqi dinars and US dollars using straightforward mathematics. Based on an exchange rate near 1,310 dinars per dollar, the value of $1 million would correspond to roughly 1.31 billion Iraqi dinars. This calculation is not based on speculation or prediction. Every discussion about currency valuation ultimately depends on the exchange rate in effect at that particular moment. While many conversations online focus on dramatic possibilities, today's report emphasizes something much more practical. The Central Bank of Iraq has continued to demonstrate a policy centered on managing and defending the official exchange rate rather than allowing uncontrolled fluctuations. Statements from Iraqi monetary officials have consistently highlighted long-term stability as an important objective connected to wider economic reforms. This careful approach reflects the responsibilities of a central bank overseeing a national economy that depends heavily on maintaining confidence in its financial system. The wording used by policymakers suggests a deliberate strategy focused on gradual institutional progress rather than abrupt monetary shifts. As attention shifts beyond the official exchange rate itself, another important question naturally follows. What factors could influence that figure over time? The discussion in today's report explains that exchange rates do not change independently. They are shaped by economic conditions, government policy, central bank decisions, and broader financial developments. The country's economic performance, fiscal planning, banking reforms, and international financial relationships all contribute to the environment in which monetary authorities make decisions. Looking at these broader conditions provides a more complete understanding of why the exchange rate remains an important indicator rather than simply a number displayed on financial charts. The report also explores how different exchange rate scenarios affect the mathematics behind currency conversions. They are not forecasts, official policy announcements, or indications that such values are expected to occur. The transcript also points out that discussions involving substantially stronger exchange rates often appear throughout the Iraqi dinar community. Some observers reference theoretical scenarios in which one Iraqi dinar could equal $1 or more. However, today's analysis carefully distinguishes mathematical possibilities from confirmed policy. While those calculations are straightforward from a numerical perspective, the report emphasizes that no official institution has announced such an exchange rate or provided a documented roadmap supporting those outcomes. Understanding the difference between hypothetical calculations and publicly confirmed monetary policy helps maintain realistic expectations when evaluating information shared across various online platforms. Another major element discussed in today's report is Iraq's economic foundation, particularly its dependence on oil revenues. Oil continues to provide the overwhelming majority of government income, making global energy markets one of the most influential external factors affecting Iraq's financial position. Strong oil prices generally increase government revenue and foreign currency reserves, providing additional support for overall monetary stability. On the other hand, periods of weaker energy prices can place additional pressure on fiscal planning and reserve management. Because of this close relationship, anyone examining Iraq's monetary policy must also pay attention to developments in international oil markets, as they remain closely connected to the country's broader economic performance. The report explains that this relationship between oil revenue and monetary policy is one reason why the Central Bank of Iraq approaches exchange rate management cautiously. Decisions affecting a national currency have implications for inflation, imports, public spending, and confidence in the financial system. Maintaining stability requires balancing multiple economic objectives rather than focusing on a single target. For that reason, policymakers continue to emphasize long-term financial discipline alongside broader structural reforms. According to today's analysis, these ongoing efforts form part of a larger strategy aimed at strengthening Iraq's economic institutions over time while maintaining an orderly monetary framework that supports sustainable development rather than short-term fluctuations. The Iraqi government's broader reform program also plays an important role in the discussion surrounding the national currency. According to today's transcript, Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani's administration has continued pursuing a long-term strategy focused on strengthening Iraq's economy through modernization initiatives. These efforts include improving financial institutions, expanding banking sector capabilities, encouraging economic diversification, and enhancing regulatory oversight. An important part of these reforms involves improving compliance with international financial standards, particularly those related to anti-money laundering and counterterrorism financing. The report explains that international organizations have closely monitored Iraq's progress in these areas for several years. Strengthening regulatory procedures is not simply an administrative exercise. It affects Iraq's ability to interact efficiently with the global financial system. Greater compliance can improve relationships with international financial institutions, increase confidence among foreign partners, and contribute to a more transparent banking environment. These institutional improvements are often viewed as fundamental building blocks that support long-term financial credibility rather than producing immediate changes in exchange rate policy. The transcript emphasizes that there is an important distinction between currency strength driven by temporary economic circumstances and strength supported by structural reform. Short-term improvements may occur during periods of elevated oil revenues or favorable global conditions, but lasting monetary stability generally depends on stronger institutions, improved governance, and a well-regulated financial system. Iraq's current reform agenda reflects efforts to establish those longer-term foundations. Progress in banking modernization, financial oversight, reserve management, and regulatory compliance represents gradual institutional development that extends beyond short. Another significant topic discussed in today's analysis is Iraq's place within the global financial system. No national currency operates independently from international economic conditions, and the Iraqi dinar is no exception. The US dollar continues to serve as the world's dominant reserve currency and remains central to global energy trade, including Iraq's oil exports. This relationship creates both opportunities and limitations for Iraqi monetary authorities. Because imports, international settlements, and oil transactions remain closely connected to the dollar, policymakers must carefully consider the wider economic effects of any exchange rate decisions. Maintaining stability, therefore, requires balancing domestic priorities with international financial realities. The report also notes that broader discussions taking place around the world, including changes in international trade patterns, evolving payment systems, and conversations about reducing reliance on the US dollar in certain transactions, are monitored by economists and financial analysts. These developments form part of the global economic landscape, although the transcript makes clear that they should not be viewed as immediate catalysts for changes in Iraq's official exchange rate. Instead, they represent long-term macroeconomic factors that may influence international financial relationships over many years. Over the years, Differences between the official exchange rate and the parallel market have drawn considerable attention from both Iraqi authorities and international financial organizations. According to today's transcript, recent government and central bank initiatives have focused on increasing transparency, strengthening oversight, and reducing irregularities within this system. These measures are intended to improve market efficiency and reinforce confidence in Iraq's monetary framework. As these reforms continue, the relationship between the official exchange rate and the parallel market remains an important indicator for analysts. Such progress is typically measured over extended periods rather than through isolated announcements, making consistent observation more valuable than reacting to short-term speculation. Returning to the original question concerning the amount of Iraqi dinar required to equal $1 million, today's analysis emphasizes the importance of separating straightforward mathematics from unsupported assumptions. Based on the current official exchange rate, achieving that dollar equivalent would require well over 1 billion Iraqi dinars. Any gradual appreciation of the currency would mathematically reduce that requirement over time, but moderate adjustments alone would not dramatically alter the outcome for relatively small currency holdings. The transcript stresses that calculations should always be based on the officially established exchange rate rather than expectations or unofficial claims circulating through social media or online discussion forums. Another key point highlighted throughout the report is the absence of any officially announced policy supporting dramatic exchange rate changes. Although various scenarios are frequently discussed within the broader Iraqi dinar community, the Central Bank of Iraq has consistently communicated objectives centered on monetary stability, institutional reform, and gradual economic development. These publicly stated priorities differ significantly from speculative narratives suggesting sudden currency transformations. Understanding this distinction allows viewers to evaluate information more objectively by recognizing the difference between confirmed policy statements and independent opinions that are not supported by official documentation. The report concludes that Iraq's current economic direction reflects genuine institutional reform efforts. Progress in banking modernization, reserve management, regulatory compliance, financial transparency, and international cooperation demonstrates an ongoing commitment to strengthening the country's financial system. At the same time, the pace and outcome of these reforms remain subject to economic conditions, government implementation, and global financial developments. Like many countries undertaking structural reforms, Iraq's economic transition is expected to unfold over time rather than through immediate or dramatic changes. This long-term perspective provides important context for understanding current monetary policy without overstating what existing evidence supports. As we wrap up today's analysis on Global Monetary Watch, August 3rd, the central takeaway remains clear. The official exchange rate provides the mathematical foundation for any discussion involving the Iraqi dinar's value against the US dollar. Factors including oil revenues, banking modernization, anti-money laundering reforms, improvements in financial governance, and broader international economic conditions all contribute to Iraq's evolving monetary environment. While these developments are significant and deserve continued attention, the available official information continues to emphasize stability, measured reform, and long-term economic strengthening rather than abrupt policy shifts. Remaining informed through credible sources and official announcements remains the most reliable approach when following developments related to Iraq's currency and financial system. Thank you for watching Global Monetary Watch. If you appreciate balanced, fact-based coverage of Iraqi dinar developments, central bank announcements, and Iraq's economic reforms, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next report.